Most people don't realize this until it's too late. They think they're behind financially, behind socially, behind professionally, behind in life. They wake up with this low-grade anxiety that never fully goes away, like something important is happening and they're late to it. But here's the part no one tells you. You are not behind. You are being timed. Not by chance, not by bad luck, not by your genetics, by a system that profits from you moving slowly, from you hesitating, from you second-guessing, from you staying almost ready forever. And once you see this, once you really understand how timing is used as a control mechanism, you can't unsee it because everything suddenly clicks. Why school took so long, why careers move so slowly, why financial advice is always safe and delayed, why success stories feel distant and unrealistic. It's not because you're incapable, it's because the system isn't designed for speed, it's designed for predictability. Let's break this down, because timing is the most invisible lever of control in modern society, and it's the one almost nobody talks about. The system doesn't stop you directly, that would be obvious. Instead, it stretches time, it normalizes delay, it rewards patience when patience benefits the system, not you. Think about how success is framed. They say things like, be patient. It takes time. Trust the process. Good things come to those who wait. Sounds reasonable, even wise, until you realize who benefits from you waiting. Because while you're waiting, you're working. While you're trusting the process, someone else owns the process. While you're being patient, the clock is quietly being used against you. Time isn't neutral, time is weaponized. Let's talk about school for a second. You spend your most energetic years sitting still, your sharpest cognitive years memorizing information you'll never use, your most creative years being trained to follow instructions, all under the promise that later it will pay off. Later, always later. Graduate first, then get experience, then climb slowly, then maybe you'll be comfortable. Notice how comfort is always positioned decades away. Not next year, not in 5 years, but far enough away that you stop questioning the timeline. Because if everyone is moving slowly, it feels normal. That's the trick. The system doesn't need to rush you. It needs to slow everyone else down. Now look at careers. Most jobs are structured around time, not output. You're paid for hours, not leverage. You're rewarded for consistency, not speed. Promotions don't go to the fastest learners. They go to the most reliable placeholders. People who won't disrupt the system by moving too quickly. That's why ambition is praised verbally but punished structurally. They'll tell you to dream big. But when you move fast, when you compress timelines, when you skip steps, suddenly you're reckless. Suddenly you're impatient. Suddenly you're doing too much. Because speed breaks systems, and the system hates speed. Here's a hard truth. If everyone moved as fast as they were capable of, the hierarchy would collapse. The system relies on staggered timing, on some people moving early, most people moving late, and a few never moving at all. That's not accidental. That's design. Now let's talk about money, because timing control is most obvious here. You're told to save slowly, invest safely, avoid risk, wait decades, and one day maybe you'll be free. Meanwhile, inflation quietly erodes your purchasing power. Costs rise faster than wages, and every year you wait, the gap widens. The system doesn't care if you win slowly, it just cares that you don't win quickly, because fast wins create independence, and independence is dangerous. Independent people don't need permission. They don't need approval. They don't need to wait. This is why so many people feel like they're running but never arriving. They're moving, but they're moving on someone else's clock. And that's the difference between progress and illusion. Let me say this clearly. Being behind is a psychological state. Being timed is a structural reality. One is internal, the other is imposed. And once you confuse the two, you start blaming yourself for a system-level problem. You think you're lazy, you think you're late, you think you missed your chance, when in reality you were just never supposed to move quickly. Now here's the part most people don't want to hear. Speed is not about working harder, it's about removing friction. It's about eliminating unnecessary steps. It's about ignoring timelines that were never built for you. The system thrives on complexity, on bureaucracy, on layers, on steps that feel necessary but aren't, because complexity slows people down, and slow people are easy to manage. Look at entrepreneurs, the ones who escape early. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait for credentials. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They compress time. They learn fast. They act fast. They iterate fast. And because of that, they're labeled as lucky. But luck is just speed viewed from the outside. Here's a pattern you'll start noticing once you're aware of timing. Every life-changing opportunity has a short window, a moment where action matters more than preparation. Most people miss it because they're still getting ready, still learning, still waiting for the right time. The system trains you to over-prepare, to delay execution, to confuse readiness with safety, but safety is just slow failure. This is why so many people feel regret later in life. Not because they failed, but because they waited. They waited to start the business. They waited to invest in themselves. They waited to leave the job. They waited to take the risk. And by the time they felt ready, the window had closed. Timing matters. And the system knows that. Now let's flip the perspective. What happens when you stop accepting the default timeline? When you stop asking, is it too late? And start asking, how fast can I move if I remove friction? Everything changes because speed compounds. Fast learners gain confidence. Confident people take more action. Action creates feedback. Feedback creates clarity. Clarity accelerates everything. This is how people escape in years instead of decades. But here's the catch. Moving fast feels uncomfortable because you've been trained to equate speed with recklessness. You've been conditioned to believe that slow equals responsible. But that's only true when the system benefits from your caution. In reality, calculated speed is the highest form of intelligence. Let me give you a mental shift that changes everything. Stop measuring progress in years. Measure it in iterations. How many attempts can you make in 12 months? How many experiments? How many reps? How many feedback loops? Most people do one serious attempt per year. Some do one per decade. The people who escape do dozens per year. Same time, different velocity. This is why faceless businesses work. This is why digital leverage works. This is why content, automation, and systems outperform traditional paths. They remove time friction. They allow you to test ideas quickly, fail cheaply, adjust fast, scale what works. You're no longer bound by someone else's clock. And this is where things get uncomfortable for the system, because once you control your timing, you control your trajectory. You don't need permission, you don't need approval, you don't need validation, you just need execution. Let me be blunt. If you feel behind, it's because you're measuring yourself against a timeline that was never designed for winners. It was designed for stability, for predictability, for labor distribution, not for personal leverage. The truth is, you can compress 5 years of progress into 1 year, but only if you're willing to look irresponsible to people who are moving slowly. Only if you're willing to ignore advice from people who have accepted the default path. Only if you're willing to move before you feel ready. And here's the most important part. Speed doesn't mean chaos, it means focus. One direction, one system, one objective, relentless execution. Most people fail not because they're slow, but because they're scattered. Speed without focus is noise. Focus without speed is stagnation. You need both. This is why most people never escape. They dabble, they hesitate, they start and stop, they consume content instead of building. They wait for certainty in an uncertain world, and the system loves that because indecision is the ultimate break. Let me tell you something that might piss some people off. The system doesn't care if you're smart, it cares if you're predictable. Predictable people are easy to model, easy to market to, easy to extract from. Unpredictable people who move fast are dangerous. That's why speed is discouraged, not openly, but subtly. You're told to slow down, be realistic, lower expectations, enjoy the journey, all comforting phrases, all designed to stretch time. But the people who win don't ignore time. They dominate it. They compress it. They refuse to waste it because time is the only resource you can't earn back. Now here's where this becomes practical. If you want to escape, you need to design your life around speed, fast learning, fast execution, fast feedback, fast adjustment. That means fewer plans, less overthinking, more action. It means choosing systems that scale with effort, not systems that cap you. It means building assets instead of climbing ladders. It means owning distribution instead of renting attention. It means leveraging technology instead of trading hours. And yes, it means being misunderstood. People will say you're rushing. They'll say you're obsessed. They'll say you're unrealistic, but they won't say you're wrong, not when it works. Here's the final truth. You're not behind. You're early. Early to awareness. Early to understanding how timing is used against people. Early enough to change direction, but only if you move. Because awareness without action is just another delay, another way to feel productive without doing anything. So the real question isn't, did I miss my chance? The real question is, how much longer are you willing to move on someone else's clock? Because the moment you stop doing that, the moment you choose speed with focus, look, everything accelerates, and once that happens, you won't feel behind ever again, because you'll finally be moving on your own time. If this perspective shifted how you see your life, make sure you're subscribed. This channel breaks down the systems controlling time, money, and behavior so you can actually escape them. And if you want a step-by-step framework for building leverage instead of waiting decades, check the link in the description. No hype, no BS, just systems that work.